pressure you to pay your property taxes. Whereas, the assessment was generally aligned with ours, we had another point of departure, and that was in the discontinuance of the petroleum subsidy. They were saying to us that, look, last year you subsidized petroleum prices to the tune of $32 million. In other words, the consumption tax compared to 2020 fell by $32 million in 2021, because what happens is that every time there's an increase in the cost of petroleum, what we do is that we reduce the tax that comes to the government in order to maintain the price stability. So if you notice, for all of last year, even though petroleum prices, oil prices would have increased significantly, the price at the pump remained unchanged. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it remained unchanged at $12.50 is because the government has been subsidizing that cost. So what we do, we reduce the taxes in order to maintain the price at $12.50. And that in itself resulted in a reduction in consumption tax by $32 million in 2021. But for us, what we're doing here is that we're also keeping down or let's say containing inflation. So if, for example, we had passed on the $32 million to customers, the rate of inflation would have increased, I believe, by at least 1%. So it has merit, in terms of significant merit to contain the price of petroleum in order to contain inflation. And this is where we said to the IMF that it's a policy that we intend to continue. However, if perchance, we have a fall in petroleum pricing and the consumption tax increases, it will be inappropriate for our political opponents to say that prices are too high, because what would have happened when prices petroleum prices are high, we would have subsidized the price. So if when they're low, we get an increase in taxation, it balances out. In fact, generally speaking, the government loses, because more often than not, prices are elevated. And when you look at the petroleum pricing within the Caribbean right now, Antigua is the lowest within the region, the OECS region, and Barbados. I mean, when we calculated the Barbados price per gallon for gasoline, it was $24 compared to $12.50 here, almost twice that of Antigua and Barbuda. Even St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that historically has had lower pricing, it's $14, almost $15. So I'm explaining all this so that people can understand the reason to why inflation here in Antigua and Barbuda remains relatively low, because the government subsidized certain prices, including food prices, and we zero rated them, and we also subsidize the pricing of petroleum products in order to contain inflation.